Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Great to
So
speak to you,
lovely.
Sarah.
Thank you. I'm really excited. Why don't we start with you explaining to everyone what the Mys Tyler app is and your journey to creating it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mys Tyler is an app I created 2.5 years ago now. We started working on it properly, but it's an idea I've had since 2014. So I've had the domain since then. And the name actually spells Mys Tyler, and it's turned into Mys Tyler. And the whole concept is that there are maybe, I don't know, 0.1% of the world that are personal stylists, like the people listening to this show, and they know how to dress all types of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got lots of people that, like maybe 10%, that like love shopping and they're really good at dressing themselves. And then you've got this 90% of the world who aren't really good at shopping for themselves. They don't really enjoy the process. This is me. Like, I'm the person who just wants somebody to tell me what to wear. And as much as I don't enjoy the process of shopping, I definitely know that I feel more confident when I like what I'm wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so years ago, I was like, well, maybe I won't be able to afford a personal stylist at this point in my life. But if I could just find on Instagram somebody who is the same height and shape and size as me and colors, I could just follow them and just copy whatever they were wearing. And so the idea of Mys Tyler is almost, if you can imagine, Instagram filtered for fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can plug in your body data and get matched to creators who look most like you.
And why do you think, you're preaching to the converted here. And as I explained in the intro of this episode, one of the reasons I started this business is because I understood the power that a trusted fashion advisor like a stylist has when it comes to the customer. We want to see ourselves. So the users, the customers that use your app to find that sort of body relevant fashion inspiration, why do you think they love using the app? What is it about seeing someone else that makes them feel a little bit more confident in themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the time when you're looking at e-commerce or you're looking at in fashion, you're not necessarily looking at models that look like you. And so you're having to do this job of trying to imagine what it's actually going to look like on you. And a lot of the time you're scrolling through thinking, that's not going to suit me because I don't have boobs, or that's not going to suit me because I'm too tall, or that's not going to suit me because I'm not the right coloring, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're constantly trying to self-filter out things that we don't think are going to be right. And then we know from the stats that even when we do buy things online that we think are going to fit us, a lot of the time they don't. And return rates are approaching 50%. Which is a huge industry issue. So yeah. I think the issue is that we're sort of essentially looking at clothes that may not necessarily fit us, and we're buying clothes that may not necessarily fit us. And so in the world of Mys Tyler, not only can you find somebody who looks like you, so you have a much higher confidence about how that thing will look, but I also think styling is a huge component. Like I've definitely had things in my wardrobe that technically fit me, but they just didn't look right. And so I wasn't sure if it was the shape or my body or whatever it was, but then a few years later, I bought a high-waisted skirt, tried this t-shirt on with it, and all of a sudden, voila, it's like, my favorite top. And I just had never known how to wear it or how to style it properly. So I think for the app, it's women being able to see someone who looks like them, seeing how the clothes actually fit, seeing how the person has styled it, and then having just a much more confidence about that process. And, I guess throughout the process of the last 2.5 years, the feedback that we've had sort of more and more so is not just about the functionality of finding clothes that fit, but it's actually been the representation. So women all of a sudden going, oh my gosh, everybody doesn't look like a model. There are a lot of, a 20-year-old who's, 5'9" and, XYZ, there's so many people who look different. There's diversity of women, and there's people who look like me, and the people who look like me are very stylish and confident. So I can be too. And so by personalizing somebody's experience, essentially everything they're looking at, not only is it aspirational and exciting, but it's accessible. That person looks great and I could look good too.
It's such a great resource, and one that's obviously sorely needed, because we do want to see ourselves in others. And I think that for too long, the only fashion references that we've had as customers is, the epitome of what society says is beautiful now, young, skinny, predominantly white. And for the rest of us, and particularly as women in our 40s and beyond, we're not represented at all. And then the flow-on effect of that, I guess, is that when you are shopping, whether it's online or in store, there's this undercurrent of I just know I look shit in this, and because the way I'm seeing it be, represented is with someone that doesn't look like me. So I know that, I guess, the impetus for this app has also been to change the narrative around body confidence. Can you tell everyone a little bit about that element of the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first launched, we had a chicken and egg problem. We obviously needed to have diversity of content so that when somebody signed up, they could put in their body data and find someone who looked like them. But we didn't have a business yet. We didn't have creators yet. So I basically, I scraped the internet for all the celebrities I could find with all their body data. And I tried to be as diverse as possible. I was like, tall celebrities, short celebrities, curvy celebrities, athletic celebrities, and so on. So we launched with that. So it was, put in your body data, find your celebrity body double. And then we started allowing creators to apply, uploading 4 photos and submitting an application. 6 months later, we had 180 creators. And so we launched Real Women. I mean, celebrities are real women, but, not all real women are celebrities.
Yeah.
But so we launched what we call Real Women onto the platform. And immediately, there was just this amazing response to the app. And people were saying, can you remove the celebrities? Because I'm having to swipe and keep going past the celebrities to find the real women. And so we removed celebrities, and that's kind of the app it is today. It's just women sharing their outfits. And one email in particular that was sort of the first email I received like this was from a woman who said, for most of my life, I've felt fat and ugly. And now at the age of 76, I feel human. And so that was whoa, that was just so powerful. And since then, we've just had so many people reach out to us via DMs, via emails, on LinkedIn, just to say thank you. And, it's the first time I've seen my body type represented. I was always the curvy girl. I was always this, do you know how many times I've Googled size 14 tall, to see what comes up? Yeah. So, it's been something that's, this is not like a niche product. This is for the 99% or the 99.9% that don't fit into the mold of what we're seeing in traditional fashion advertising.
It's so needed. I know that there is a huge segment of the market of women sort of 50 plus, empty nesters, when our kids have grown up and they've left the house and we get this opportunity. I can imagine I'm knee deep in kids' primary school stuff at the moment, but you get to an age where you all of a sudden have free time again to rediscover who you are, to maybe connect again with your sense of style. And from 50 plus, we can see there is really limited reference points. But what I'm seeing from the styling side is so many women getting their colors done, working with a professional and then realizing, okay, this is sort of the boost of confidence and the way that I feel as a valued member of society, as a person with so much more to give. Then they want to spread this amazing feeling of transformation. So I would imagine that a lot of your users now and into the future will also be older women, because there's nowhere else that we can find ourselves.
Absolutely. Age has been, I guess it was sort of a bit of a surprise to me because I just didn't realize how, underserved that market was. And I guess when you think about it in retail, a lot of people in retail are young and they probably haven't had kids. Their body probably hasn't changed. They probably haven't gone through menopause, all these different things. Our bodies just change as we get older. And, so, if you're young and you're 20, you may not have gone through these experiences. So it's hard for you to imagine what customers that come in might have gone through, first of all, and their body changing, which I think is a key reason why people, start to need to try and find their style again, because they had a style and that style doesn't fit them or their lifestyle anymore. They've changed jobs, or they've had kids, or their body has changed. And so they need to find a new style that's more appropriate. And I've heard a lot of women say that, first of all, a common sort of paraphrasing is, my fashion age is not my chronological age. I like to think of myself as fashion forward and, trendy and aware of what's happening. But my expectation of what I would wear is different to what a 20-year-old might think a 55 or 65-year-old woman should wear.
Yes.
And so sometimes when I go into stores, I feel judged because the person's thinking thinking, wait, you're going to wear that because that's what I wear, and so they go into stores and they kind of feel sometimes judged, or they go on to online, and again, as you say, like there aren't that many reference points to like what is age appropriate for, I guess, their fashion age, but that is like super fashion forward and fun and accessible, but for them. And women, in the US and similar in Australia, 55% of women are over 50. So again, it's like these big majorities that are being underserved in the world of fashion.
Exactly. I mean, look, I love Zara myself. I love fun colors, but I was there on the weekend and I was laughing out loud. And had I not had already, I guess, not so much confidence, but oh, well, I am where I am now. My focus is on my kids and I'm not sort of worried so much about my body at the moment. But I had to laugh at the fact that the majority of the clothing looked like it had run out of production just under the bust. Everything is cropped. Everything's got cutouts. And like your stomach, after having 2 kids living inside me, obviously my stomach is not going to be the area that I want a piece of clothing to have a cutout hanging out of. So it really reminded me that when you go into, let's say, a shopping center with a collection of brands that we're familiar with, there's a segment that is looking for more personalization, more relatability, more inclusivity, more diversity, because we've got the cash to spend. We're desperate to buy something because we're so sick of being indoors, cleaning, cooking, making breakfasts for people, working, that we love to be able, for me, I'm just talking from my perspective, but we love to be able to go out, have a coffee, meet a friend, buy a little fun something. But we're wandering around without that, without us being put the focus on, I guess, in the retail space. Until now, it seems. Enter the Mirvac portfolio of shopping centres around Australia. Tell me a little bit about this partnership.
Yeah, we've been working with Mirvac for, I think it's about 18 months now. I first met Kelly Miller, who's the GM of retail for Mirvac. They have 14 shopping centres in Australia, so that's part of their property portfolio. And we were chatting about the future of fashion and the future of retail. And a lot of our early creators on Mys Tyler happen to be stylists. And so a lot of stylists, in our experience, work from home and don't have peers. And when they go to meet a client, it's kind of like meet outside Sports Girl, and you sort of do that. And so I was talking to Kelly and we were like, wouldn't it be cool if we took over a space in one of the shopping centres and made it a co-working space designed for stylists? And then we could bring the stylists in on a rotation. So they could be the stylists and residents for a month. And that way they would have a place to work away from home just for a change of scenery. They would have access to, a peer network of other stylists that could help them shoot content or just like discuss ideas. And then they could develop better relationships with retailers. They would have a beautiful space where they could bring clients. And on top of that, in exchange for that co-working space and the exposure that they get from the shopping centre's marketing, they would give back an hour a day to Mirvac as payment, sort of as a contra deal. And it would be like 2 30-minute mini style consults, would just be a way that Mirvac could be inviting people in to come and actually speak to a stylist about what your concerns are. And so we trialed it in Queensland during COVID when we were locked down in New South Wales. So we did it in Queensland and it was super successful and it was just really fun. The women developed lifelong friends, created so much content, and they started hosting masterclasses. So they would host I've got a topic that, I love talking about, it might be like dressing for postpartum, or it might be 5 ways to introduce color into your wardrobe, or how to dress, for a corporate situation. So we started doing these masterclasses, and at the end we had a beautiful fashion show, which was all our creators walking. So not models, although they all looked like models, but just, real women of all heights, shapes, sizes, colors, etc. Ages. Absolutely ages. So then we did another one earlier this year at Birkenhead Point, which again, we sort of took what we'd learned and upped the ante a little bit. And now in September, we're doing it in 7 locations at once. So we've got 2 locations in Queensland, which is Kawana in the Sunshine Coast and Orion in Brisbane. And then in Sydney, we have Stanhope, the Met, Greenwood Plaza, Broadway, and Birkenhead Point. So it's really fun and really exciting sort of to take what we've learned and, make it bigger and better.
So that's where customers, if that's your local centre, that's where customers can come in, purchase a ticket and attend one of these fashion events or masterclasses or style Q&As, right?
Exactly. So first of all, shoppers can book in for a 30-minute mini consult with one of our stylists in residence. They can book in and pay for a ticket and book in to go to one of the fashion masterclasses or fashion Q&As. And I should say, and this is probably a good time to introduce the Embrace Hub.
Yes.
Because all proceeds actually go towards the Embrace Hub. So it's really nice. We're sort of super excited about this partnership. I think, many people on this podcast might have seen the Embrace documentary by Tara Brumfitt. And it's all about, her journey to loving her body. And then she goes around the world and she talks to women about, how do they describe their bodies? And, just this situation that we've got ourselves in where we're all so judgmental of our body and we just don't know what is real and what is normal. And we all feel abnormal or like we don't fit in. Yeah. And so it was just such a powerful documentary. So the Embrace Hub is essentially a portal for, resources, research, and awareness. And they have a new film coming out called Embrace Kids, which is very similar but targeted at 9 to 14-year-olds and the adults and people in their lives. So teachers and parents. And, the theme is, we don't learn not liking our body. Sorry, we're not born not liking our body. Yeah. We're taught it. And we like kids hear things that we say and things that we do. And, it can change how they feel about themselves. And so how do we change the narrative? And so we connected with the Embrace Hub and they've come on board for this Styles in Residence program that we're running for September. To essentially what we're trying to do is actually just make retail a better environment for all women to come in and enter. So one thing that I'm really excited about is Dr. Zali, who works with the Embrace Hub. She's been researching body confidence and this field for a very long time. Yeah. And she's creating like a research, like a training video for retailers on self-compassion framework. So you can imagine when people come in and try on clothes, it can be confronting and it can feel demoralizing. I mean, the changing room lights are never that flattering.
No, and it's a confronting experience. And I know from speaking to stylists all around the world, that moment, that's a pivotal moment when a customer is at their most vulnerable. Consequently, it's why the relationship with, that trusted personal relationship becomes so powerful, because you almost need someone to actively create a safe space for you to feel vulnerable enough to undress, to see yourself, to try on new things. And that kind of change room space, which up until now has just been, you just go in there and good luck, love. Sorry about what you see in the mirror. It sounds like you guys are actively trying to change that with tangible solutions, not just believe in yourself. You're actually, changing the construct of the change room. How's that happening?
Absolutely. So I just think with this self-compassion framework, it's just like some little things that you can fall back on so that when somebody comes in and, is feeling vulnerable or might say something negative, then you have like something to fall back on to try and be a little bit more compassionate in that moment and make it a better experience for that person, which I think is really powerful. And all our stylists working on this program will be going through that training with Zali directly and just like learning about what is the research in this field. Actually, one piece of research that Zali shared, and I might be getting this a little bit wrong, but it only takes looking at 10 different women. So 10 different women to recalibrate what we think about is what is normal, as opposed to like opening a magazine and everyone's the template of, size 6. So just seeing 10 different women in a row. So diversity and representation is just so important.
Yes.
So, trying to like just like feed this information through to people who are, at the front line of, working with women that are being their most vulnerable, talking about, their objectives and their challenges and the reasons why they coming to a stylist to try and, change their wardrobe or find, new clothing.
It's so interesting. Again, if we think about the shopping experience, traditionally, it's very much a solo pursuit, so it's you and all of your insecurities and a lifetime of perceptions about beauty and what's normal and what's not. either online or in a physical store, walking around. The entire process is just you. But when we start to acknowledge that customers are experiencing these feelings, and brands, retailers have an opportunity to acknowledge that and then change the environment, that is what I would call the most progressive, innovative retail transformation. And how wonderful that you've got the Mirvac portfolio. So not just one shopping center, multiple shopping centers, providing not only that training, but then saying, we're not just going to have one stylist that's going to talk about 5 ways to wear a denim jacket. We're going to get stylists that are 60 years of age. We're going to get stylists that are a size 20 to a size 10. We're going to get stylists of different nationalities and backgrounds and shapes, because we all want to relate to someone. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm just like so proud of the work that we're doing. And Mirvac have just been so incredible to work with. You know, they've just embraced the idea and, you know, pushed it forward. And we really just, you know, it's so powerful, because speaking to Dr. Zali, you know, she had done a lot of research for a long time, and she was like, I know the things that we need to do to make people feel better about themselves, but nobody's doing them. I'm just finding more and more research supporting the same things that we already know. And so that was really, you know, working with the Embrace Hub. It's like, how do we actually take that and put it into action? And so with Mirvac, it's a chance for us to actually take that to a much bigger scale. You know, we can go out and transform these complete experiences, as opposed to, like, as you said at the start, as opposed to saying, you should feel better about yourself. Let's make the environment nicer for all these women.
Exactly. And then I guess the last piece of the puzzle is making sure that the brands themselves in the future have more inclusivity with their size runs and, you know, the actual design of their clothing, but one mountain at a time, obviously. You know, that's a massive project in and of itself. So I know you conducted some research, was that this year, to kind of to take the temperature of the customer sentiment? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we conducted it in May, so a few months ago, and we interviewed 1,000 Australian women about fashion, representation, you know, fit. Mm-hmm. And what we found was things that we already knew. Sadly, you know, only 1 in 4 women are confident in their bodies. But the big opportunity is that 89% of women feel more body confident when they like their outfit. So there is like this huge correlation, which, you know, again, like, you know, everybody like listening to this would know that when you like how you look, you feel more confident. And it's such an important, powerful, easy thing that you can do. And I say easy, but it's not really that easy, because when we ask women, how, you know, do you wear clothes that make you feel good every day? Only 15% of women wear clothes every day that make them feel good.
So 75% of people, please tell me that's the maths, or 85%.
85.
Christ, I'm so sorry. 85% of women are putting on an outfit they don't love. And this is for a lot of, obviously, the stylists that are listening to this show, that's really important to understand that the majority of women are not loving what they're wearing, but there is an emotional barrier here. It's, as you said, it's not as easy as going, oh, well, I'll just wear something I love then. You know, it's really interesting. We have to consider why we don't just put on our favorite outfit every day. And I think one of the benefits of coming to these types of styling events, when you have a diverse, inclusive range of fashion professionals, is for customers to understand, it's not that there are some people that are cool and some people that are not cool. These fashion experts understand the technical components of creating an outfit you love. And it's got to do with your shape, the design of the clothing, and how we optically balance and harmonize your outfit. Every single person can find their own unique style and a simple kind of uniform. But you do need to probably take that first step. And what you're doing is providing a safe, kind of nurturing environment to say, this is not going to be overwhelming. Just come grab a coffee, learn a little bit, and dip your toe into the water of what it would feel like to feel good every day in what you wear.
Yeah. It honestly, for so many people, it just like opens the conversation and just gets them thinking, you know, like I can sort of chuck out those assumptions that I always had, which is I have to wear this and this is the only thing that suits me. And I can actually like maybe try something new and maybe think about something new. So they've just been so powerful. And I just feel like, you know, on this call, I'm like, people are going to be, if they're looking at this photo, oh, she hasn't done her colors. But I'm definitely, I'm that person that I just like throw on stuff and go. But then I'm like, oh, I need to put more effort in, because it definitely makes me feel better.
No, but see, you've just felt the need to even say, like, we're so hard on ourselves, like you've, what I think is really interesting, you are the voice of the client, of the customer, saying, listen, I know that you're telling me that it's easy, but there's something that stops me from taking that step.
Yeah.
And as a marketer, I'm always interested in the barriers to purchase, you know, so essentially why don't people book in with a stylist, or why don't they get their colors done, or what have you? And it comes down to something much more calcified, which is a lifetime of telling ourselves certain things about ourselves, I think. The insecurities that we have, our belief in ourselves and our confidence, and it's all woven into this thick knot. So it takes businesses like you and businesses like Mirvac to go, okay, let's actually break it down into some tangible things. I'm so sick of hearing people say, oh, we're all about confidence, but what are you actually doing to make that a reality? So the fact that you guys are teaching, you're giving people a language to manage negative self-talk in the change rooms. You're providing people with access to fashion experts and stylists of all ages, shapes and sizes, so we can relate and feel comfortable. These are tangible things that you guys are doing to change the narrative around body confidence in Australia. Bloody well done.
Well, thank you. And just back to the research for a second, because when we sort of dove deeper into why 85% of the time, like, are you not wearing clothes every single day that make you feel great?
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes down to finding clothes that fit. 82% of women have said that they've struggled to find clothes that actually fit them. Yeah. And it's not just size, it's also their shape or their height or their coloring and so on. And, they just don't feel represented. So, more than half, or I guess half the time, it's like, the clothes don't look the same as they would have expected after seeing them on a model. So there's this connection between like what I'm looking at and how it looks on me. And so that's disappointing. And again, like, as you say, like, if people don't know their colors, or they just don't know, the things that are going to, work for their body, then, I think there's something like 10 billion pieces of clothing produced every year. So it's like, there is so much clothing out there. So how are we supposed to like dive through all that to find the stuff that suits us or that's going to make us feel great? And that's a challenge. And I think, particularly for me, like, my background was telecommunications. And so I just like never been in this world. And I used to just think I'd buy stuff and then it just wouldn't ever be great. And so it may not be returned. I might wear it still, but I just never felt great about it. And then that happened so often, and it was like rare for me to get the really amazing piece, that then all of a sudden you don't want to invest as much into clothing because it's too much of a risk to put, all this money in. So then I would go, okay, well, I'll just get stuff when it's on sale, because then that reduces the risk. Because then even if it's not perfect, I don't spend as much on it. And I think that happens a lot. And so if I had an item that I'm just like, I know this looks amazing, like this is my favorite piece, it always makes me look great, I would spend much more money on that if it made me feel like that.
Absolutely, because you understand, the first thing I learned when I trained as a stylist, I'm not a practicing stylist, but I trained so I could understand, the technical language. But the majority of us we are not the measurements of the fit models they use to grade sizing, to create the runs of clothing. So most things that you buy will probably need a little bit of altering, and it's, but we don't naturally know what length of, jeans, what a nightmare shopping for jeans. I think everyone hates it, right?
Yeah.
Why it looks amazing on the model, and then I put it on and I look shorter, I just look like a slug. I don't know what it is, but it's just nothing works. And that's because of hem length and cuts and where it sits on the waist, all these little things that if we were told, if we knew, we'd obviously buy better, we'd shop smarter, we'd feel better. There's a positive flow and effect, both, emotionally, but also commercially for the brands.
Absolutely. And also, environmentally, because, like there is, I mean, first of all, like just that, nearly half of online purchases are returns. So that's just excess shipping, packaging, handling. Yeah. Not to mention the stuff that gets returned and ends up in landfill.
Yeah.
So, but also, I think the majority of people wear 20% of their wardrobe, 80% of the time. And so we're buying all this stuff that we're not wearing. So if we could just spend that money on higher quality pieces, then we could push towards, like high quality
lowering the
brands.
excess. Yes.
Reducing the excess, being more versatile with what we own, and having more fun with it.
Yeah, so it comes down to, it seems, understanding your shape, your body, and therefore your style, how you can work to create your own looks, and then being a little bit more considerate with your purchases. But for that to happen, there needs to be a shift in the retail environment, and that's where you guys come in as the kind of foundational step. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So will we see you at these events, Sarah? Are you talking at some of these fashion events in September?
Yeah, so I try to go to as many as possible. So I obviously won't be at too many of the Queensland ones, but I'll definitely be moving around and going to as many as I can across like Broadway, Birkenhead Point, Met, Greenwood. Generally for the Sydney locations, when we do a Q&A format, so we have like masterclass, which are a bit more like there's a piece of content that we're going to try and teach you, and the stylist has put together a package, and there might be slides, and it's essentially delivering something that you can walk away with.
Workshop.
Versus we have this like Q&A format, which we love. It's a bit more social. It's like everybody comes, we take their coffee orders, everyone has a coffee, they sort of mingle. We do a 30-minute Q&A where we ask somebody in the world of fashion about themselves, how they fell into fashion, their particular area. And then we just kind of do a little bit of a mingle at the end. So most of those I'll be the host. So the Q&A formats, I'll be at those. And then back to the Embrace Hub with the kids movie, we're going to be screening that movie in Queensland on September 11th and at Broadway on September the 3rd. So I'll also be at the September 3rd screening, as will Taryn Brumfit and Dr. Zali Yeager.
Wow. Okay, so anyone that's got a daughter, mine's 11 years of age, and we'll be going to that because
absolutely
empowering myself with the language. Do you know, the other day I said to her, she's just my little one, she's a little skinny mini, and I said to her, oh my gosh, I need to fatten you up, my love, coming from a place of she hasn't been eating enough and she's been a little bit stressed and so forth. And then I just caught myself and went, oh crap, I'm already putting language and labels and opinions on her. So I'll be booking myself in to watch that.
No, absolutely. I think, and it's designed, honestly, that, it'll be good for all adults, whether you have children or not. And I think, for if the kids are 9 to 14, then it's really great for them to go to as well. But definitely go to that, and it will be amazing because after the screening, Taryn and Dr. Zali Yeager will also do a Q&A. So they'll actually take questions and talk about the movie. So it'll be really amazing. And then I think they'll do a book signing afterwards. So
fantastic. And there's in-centre offers, aren't there? We won't go into the details of each centre, but there's prizes and promotions going on in all the centres as well, right?
Yeah. So all of them will have some form of competition, and the prize will be a shopping spree with one of the stylists in residence.
Okay, that's really fun. And lastly, I wanted to ask on behalf of all the personal stylists listening that are located in Australia and overseas, are they able to apply still to be content creators on the Mys Tyler app?
Absolutely. We would love them on the app. And honestly, one of the reasons that a lot of women have really loved being a creator on Mys Tyler is that it's really hard to grow an audience now on Instagram. It can be really hard. Whereas on Mys Tyler, like, we grow that audience for you. And, if you, because it's based on relevance versus popularity, it's not about like one person getting all the follows. It's about whoever's most relevant to the audience. And so you just build this audience of people who can actually see themselves in you as well.
They're your tribe. They're your people.
And you can follow anyone. So then you can have different ways to find people. So you can find people that are located near you, or that are the same age as you, or the same height, and so on. And you might follow somebody whose style you love, and they might only be like a 40% match, but then you can actually tap and see their body data and go, oh, okay, well, that's because they're 2 inches taller. So now when I see something on them, I can now do the calculation of how it's going to look on me, as opposed to often when you look at models, you just don't know like how tall they are or what size they are. But once you have that information, even if they're not your exact body fit, you can make the calculations. So, women are really like loving that they come to Mys Tyler, and many of them have more followers on Mys Tyler than Instagram now. And it's just honestly such a supportive beautiful community of women. It's very good energy. I don't know. I mean, I say I don't know how, but like I'm just like always so grateful that we have, I guess, attracted all these women, that it's just like all good energy.
Well, it's top-down approach, Sarah. You're obviously such a loving, warm, kind person, and that sort of flows through into your company and the content creators that you bring into the community.
Yeah, well, I'll take the credit for it, but I mean, honestly, it's like, I created Mys Tyler, but it's like so much bigger than me now. It's like the people in the community are just so much bigger and better and more amazing. So it's really humbling now just to see all these amazing people on the app. And, down the track, we'd love to introduce a way that, especially for the stylists on the app, that they could say, like, book in a 1 hour, virtual styling consult for X price, and, give them more ways to earn money through Mys Tyler. And I should say that our key business model is affiliate marketing. So when somebody posts what they're wearing, you would say, I'm wearing this sweater, it's from this brand, here's a link to buy it. And we've partnered with more than 4,000 brands. So if it's one of those 4,000 brands, we would earn commission, and we give 80% of the commission back to the creator. So people can, like anyone who's a creator on our app can, find an audience and then also monetize through it. And then one day we'd love to do the sort of virtual styling consults as well.
How brilliant, Sarah. I've listened to a lot of interviews that you've had over the last few months, and I'm very inspired and in awe. You've worked really, really hard. And for anyone that has a business, particularly a tech business, geez, Louise, there's so I can't say the words I want to say because they're too rude, but it's a lot of work. And so thank you from one customer to another. Thank you for dedicating your time to build such a useful, transformative app. And we all look forward to seeing you in the shopping centres in September.
Yes, but absolutely. I would love everybody to come to whichever is their local shopping centre and come to a masterclass, or just drop by the styling hub and say hi to our beautiful stylists.
Yeah.
But please get involved. It's a really beautiful program and we're really excited. So we'd love to have everybody be part of it.